My name is Norma. It's 8:21 in the morning, and everything has disappeared. The venue is empty, the car is back in my garage, the vendors have left, the bride has called off the wedding, and the guests have been sent home. The illusion my younger brother, Leo, spent years building has crumbled before breakfast, and for the first time, none of it is my responsibility to fix. It all started 9 days before Leo's wedding. I was at work, reviewing a damaged cargo report, when he called. He didn't sound nervous or apologetic, he sounded amused. "We finalized the guest list," he said. "You're not on it." I thought he was joking. After all, the coastal estate hosting the wedding was reserved with my credit card, the restored Mustang he planned to drive was mine, and the first installment for the reception tent came from my savings. Then he laughed. "Vivian wants generous people around us, not someone who counts every dollar." "You're cheap, Norma. Honestly, you're selfish." I asked if he had excluded the person financing the parts of his wedding he couldn't afford. His voice hardened. "Don't make this transactional. A real sister wouldn't keep score." That's when something inside me snapped. I opened the folder with every transfer, contract, and unpaid promise from the past 4 years. The total was $20,800. Leo thought insulting me would make me work harder for his approval. Instead, it gave me the courage to stop protecting him. Let me rewind a bit. I'm a maritime claims coordinator in Charleston, South Carolina. My job is to untangle expensive disasters before they sink entire companies. I'm good at it, and I've always been the stable one in the family. My parents, Henry and Eleanor, are kind but have always favored Leo. He's the younger one, and they believe he has an entrepreneurial spirit. 4 years ago, when Leo's apartment complex threatened eviction, Mom called me crying from a coffee shop parking lot. She said Leo was too embarrassed to ask directly, so I paid the $2,300 balance. 2 months later, he needed $1,700 to repair his truck. He traded the truck for a motorcycle and wrecked it before making the first payment. He apologized, promised to repay, and sent me $75. That was the only money he ever returned. Dad always had an excuse for Leo. He said Leo was finding himself, that he had inherited Dad's business sense. But it seemed like Leo's business sense meant starting projects with other people's money and disappearing when the bills came due. I'm a detail-oriented person. My work has taught me to document everything. But with Leo, I ignored the evidence. I kept a spreadsheet, but I rarely opened it because the total made me feel foolish. It included an emergency dental bill, an apartment deposit, insurance payments, a business license fee, and money I sent when he claimed a client refused to pay him. Leo's company, Leo's Event Creations, looked impressive online. In reality, he had folding backdrops, portable lights, and social media photos from events subcontracted by larger companies. Then he met Vivian, a high-end fashion stylist from a family that values appearances. Leo reinvented himself for her. He rented designer suits for photos, leased office space he hardly used, and claimed his event company was expanding across the South. Vivian believed he owned the Mustang she saw in my garage. I had spent 2 years restoring that car, which was a family heirloom from our grandfather. Leo first borrowed the Mustang for engagement photos, then asked to keep it until the wedding because Vivian wanted to leave the ceremony in a family car. I agreed, but only if he insured it and returned it the following Monday. The registration, title, and restoration receipts were in my name. The coastal estate was another favor that turned into an expectation. Leo found a beautiful old plantation outside Charleston that required a $4,000 reservation payment and another $6,000 48 hours before the event. He claimed his bank had frozen a large client payment and promised to reimburse me within 10 days. I paid the initial amount but made sure the contract listed me as the responsible party. He complained that I was being formal with family, but I knew it was necessary for my credit card's protection. I also paid $2,800 towards the reception tent when the vendor threatened to cancel, $1,500 for special event insurance on the Mustang, and $1,200 for floral refrigeration during a heat wave. Combined with his older debts, the total reached $20,800. He called every payment temporary, and my parents called it love. The night Leo excluded me from the guest list, I drove to my friend Iris's townhouse. Iris is a marine biologist who has worked with me through several rough storms. She's seen executives fight over large sums of money without batting an eye. When I played Leo's voicemail, she stared at me. "He called you cheap while using your car and your credit card?" she asked. "He says money shouldn't matter between siblings," I replied. "It matters enough for him to keep asking for yours," she said. Then she asked the question that changed everything: "What are you still legally responsible for?" We reviewed the contracts. The estate agreement allowed me to cancel before the final deadline, and the $4,000 reservation was partially refundable because there was a waiting list. The tent company hadn't collected the balance, and the Mustang was entirely mine. I didn't have to keep financing an event I wasn't even invited to. At 10:14 that night, Leo texted me a photo of the estate lawn with the message, "Try not to be bitter. It's going to be perfect." I looked at the picture and then at the contract with my signature. For the first time, I saw not a wedding I was excluded from but obligations I could legally end. The next morning, I arrived at work before 7 o'clock and closed my office door. I didn't write Leo an emotional letter or list our childhood problems. I prepared an invoice. Every charge had a date, description, amount, and supporting receipt. The total was exactly $20,800. At the bottom, I wrote, "Payment arrangements must be proposed within 10 business days. All future financial assistance is terminated immediately." Before sending the invoice, I called the estate's contract manager, Miss Thompson. I explained that I was the contracting party and wouldn't authorize the remaining $6,000. She checked the agreement and confirmed that the estate could release the date to another client. Since a corporate retreat had already requested the weekend, I would get a $3,250 refund. I asked her to proceed and send written confirmation. Next, I emailed the tent company and withdrew as guarantor. I didn't tell them to cancel Leo's reservation, I just said he needed to provide a new payment method. The manager replied that unless he paid by Thursday at noon, the tent would be released. Then I contacted my insurance agent and canceled the Mustang's special event coverage. I arranged for a towing company to retrieve the car on Friday morning. I sent the invoice after documenting every action. Leo's response came within 3 minutes. "What the hell is this?" he asked. "It's the amount you agreed to repay," I said. "You're billing your own brother because you didn't get invited to a party?" he shouted. "I'm billing you because these were loans." The invitation made me realize I was financing someone who doesn't respect me, I replied. He called right away. I let it ring twice before answering. He was already shouting. "You're a cheap and selfish coward. You waited until my wedding week to punish me." I told him it wasn't about that. Then he said, "Vivian thinks you make people uncomfortable. You mention prices and ask questions. Her family doesn't want some bitter accountant auditing the reception." I'm not an accountant, but I knew what he meant. During the engagement dinner, Vivian had asked how much Leo's business earned. I carefully suggested she discuss finances with him before marriage. He later accused me of embarrassing him and made it seem like I was jealous. "I'm canceling my obligations," I said. "You're free to replace them." His voice changed. "What obligations?" "The estate payment, the tent guarantee, and the insurance on my car," I replied. He laughed weakly and said, "You can't cancel the venue." "I already did," I told him. Vivian took the phone. "You canceled my wedding venue?" she screamed. "I canceled a contract in my name," I said. Leo claimed he paid for it, but I had messages proving it was a short-term loan. She went silent. Leo grabbed the phone and accused me of turning his fiancée against him. At 2:06 that afternoon, I sent them both the estate confirmation, the tent deadline, and the vehicle return notice, along with the $20,800 invoice. Leo's final message was, "Mom and Dad will make you fix this." In the past, that would have scared me, but this time, I archived the thread, locked my phone, and went back to work. Mom called 13 minutes later. She didn't ask what Leo had done, she demanded that I restore the venue before Vivian's parents found out. "Do you understand how humiliating this will be?" she asked. I told her I understood that Leo lied about paying for it. She said he planned to pay after the wedding. I asked with what money. She said it wasn't the point, but I knew it was. She accused me of using money to control Leo. I asked if excluding me while keeping my financial support counted as control. She said I was twisting the situation. Then Dad joined the call. He usually preferred to show disappointment rather than anger, but this time he was mad. "Norma, we raised you better than this. A decent person doesn't pull the rug out from under family." I reminded him that a decent person doesn't call his sister cheap while using her money. He warned me the estate could sue Leo. I explained that Leo wasn't the contracting party and that the cancellation was within the agreement. He said I was hiding behind technicalities, but I told him technicalities were boundaries. Mom started crying. She said Vivian had locked herself in the bedroom and Leo was driving around looking for another location. She asked me to imagine how terrified they felt. I told her I had spent 4 years feeling terrified every time Leo created a crisis and dumped it on me. I refused to restore the venue, return the car, or withdraw the invoice. Dad threatened to remove me from the family trust, which was mostly old land with unpaid taxes. I told him to do what he thought was right. Relatives started messaging me. Most had heard that I promised to finance the wedding and then withdrew the money because I wasn't made maid of honor. Leo had made up a story where I demanded a prominent role, got jealous of Vivian, and cancelled the estate when they refused to change the ceremony for me. I didn't answer them individually. Instead, I created a folder with the contract, cancellation clause, invoice, and Leo's insulting message. I sent a warning to my parents and Leo, correct the false story. If relatives keep contacting me based on misinformation, I'll provide the documentation. Leo replied, "Do it. Everyone will see what kind of person you are." 2 hours later, my cousin Amy called. She said Leo had told Vivian's father that the estate belonged to one of my company's clients and that I got it through work connections. That lie was dangerous. The estate had no relationship with my employer. I found an old email where Leo claimed my firm handled marine insurance for the property owner and implied he got a discount through me. It was completely false. I reported the situation to my compliance director, and our legal department prepared a notice to stop Leo from using the company's name. When Leo received the notice, Dad called me in a rage. "You involved lawyers against your brother?" he asked. "I protected my job from a false statement," I replied. "He was trying to impress his future in-laws," Dad said. "You could lose him forever." I looked at the spreadsheet with the $20,800 in unpaid promises and wondered if I ever really had a brother or just a dependent who used the word family when he needed money. By Wednesday, 4 days before the ceremony, Leo had temporarily saved the wedding. Vivian's father, Mr. Grant, agreed to cover a smaller waterfront venue near Hilton Head. It was more expensive and was available only because another event had cancelled. Mr. Grant paid a non-refundable deposit after Leo assured him that all the other vendors were secured. But that was a lie. The tent company had released Leo's reservation, the florist had only received 30% of her balance, the caterer's final invoice was unpaid, and Leo's business account had less than $900. Vivian called me. She said she wanted the facts without insults and asked if Leo really owed me $20,800. I said I could prove every item but wouldn't discuss other debts without his permission. She said she was supposed to marry him in 4 days and that his finances were her concern. I told her to ask him for full records. She said Leo claimed my invoice was fake. I offered to send her records for the wedding-related charges. She asked about the Mustang. Leo had told her I gave it to him as an engagement present. I sent her a photo of the title and the signed loan agreement. She gasped. He had also told her that our grandfather left it to him, but I knew that Dad sold it to me because I paid for the restoration. Vivian started asking more questions. Did Leo's company employ 12 people? No. Did he own a warehouse in Colombia? Not that I knew. Had he produced a 6-figure corporate event? I had seen him subcontract lighting for one, but he wasn't the main producer. Before ending the call, she revealed that Leo had persuaded her to open a joint credit card for wedding costs. The balance was nearly $14,000. He claimed sponsorship reimbursements would clear it after the ceremony, but she had never seen signed agreements. I urged her to freeze the account and consult a financial advisor. Leo found out about our conversation within an hour. You poisoned her against me, he shouted. I answered her questions, I said. You made me sound like a criminal. I showed her the title to my car, I replied. You knew what that would do. Yes, it would show her who owns it, I said. He called me jealous, lonely, and vindictive. Then he started crying. Vivian was threatening to postpone the ceremony unless he showed bank statements, receipts, and contracts. He admitted he had exaggerated but said everyone did when building a future. I told him he didn't exaggerate, he built a wedding with money that wasn't his. He offered to invite me, seat me at the family table, and publicly thank me. I declined. What do you want? He demanded. Repay your debts and stop lying about me, I said. I can't pay $20,000 this week, he said. Then propose a realistic schedule, I replied. Friday morning, the towing company went to the garage listed in the vehicle agreement, but Leo had moved the Mustang to the new event hall's parking lot. The driver contacted me, and I provided the venue manager with proof of ownership and asked for access. Leo arrived while the car was being loaded onto the flatbed. He threatened the driver, and an employee recorded the confrontation. Leo stood in front of the truck and claimed the Mustang was a wedding gift. The driver showed him the title information and calmly asked him to move. Vivian arrived a few minutes later and saw the license plate being removed from a sign that said, "The future Mr. and Mrs. Leo." She screamed, "Leo, you said it was yours." Leo pointed at the driver's phone where I was talking and shouted, "She's doing this because she wasn't invited." Vivian replied, "No, she's doing it because you lied." The video reached my parents before the Mustang got to my garage. Mom begged me to return the car for 1 day. Dad offered to guarantee its return after the honeymoon. I reminded him that he had also guaranteed Leo's previous debts. Then Dad offered me $5,000 to return the car, restore the venue deposit, and tell Vivian it was a misunderstanding. I won't participate in a lie, I said. You're choosing money over family, he said. Leo chose appearances over truth. You're asking me to finance a lie, I replied. Late Friday night, Vivian froze the joint credit card. The caterer tried to collect the remaining $7,600 after midnight, but the charge failed. The contract allowed the caterer to stop service for non-payment. Leo promised a cashier's check by 7 o'clock the next morning, but he didn't have the money. At 5:43 on Saturday morning, my phone rang. It was Vivian. I heard shouting and a man demanding to unlock a storage room. The venue manager is removing everything, she said. Leo says you canceled it. I didn't contract with that venue, I replied. He told them your company was paying the final balance. The Waterfront Hall had received a $5,000 deposit from Mr. Grant, but another $9,200 was due before access. Leo had assured the manager that a corporate transfer from my employer would arrive Friday evening. He even forwarded an altered email with my work signature. I asked Vivian to put the manager on the phone. Mr. Harris explained that the transfer never arrived. When his staff called my company, our claims desk denied any involvement and flagged the document. Because the contract prohibited false payment claims, the hall terminated access and started removing the rented furniture. I forwarded Mr. Harris the legal notice to stop Leo from using my employer's name. Vivian asked if I could temporarily pay the balance. No, I said. My guests arrive in 3 hours, she said. I'm sorry, but I won't be part of a contract based on a false statement, I replied. She started crying, finally realizing that all the beautiful promises were built on lies. At 6:08, Mom called from Dad's phone. She said the caterer hadn't arrived, the florist wouldn't release the arrangements, and workers were loading chairs onto trucks. She insisted I could prevent the humiliation with one transfer. I have savings, she said, but your father says we shouldn't empty our retirement account. Then don't, I replied. But you can afford it, she said. My ability to pay doesn't.